Now, moving on. It was absolute mayhem at Delhi's domestic airport today. Frustrated passengers protested and demanded answers from IndiGo's management. The frustration was very clearly visible among the passengers. This as the Delhi to Deoghar flight was cancelled on Jan 30th and 31st, that's 2 consecutive days. IndiGo claims passengers were served refreshments and options to avail refund, alternate sectors or rescheduling were offered. IndiGo claims this was due to sudden drop in weather conditions. The flyers stranded at the airport raised slogans like IndiGo chor hai and Band karo as they questioned the sudden decision to cancel the flight. Let's listen into some exchanges by the passengers.
वो बोल रहे हैं कि आपको आना पड़ेगा, डॉक्टर बोल रहे हैं अभी, आप समझ रहे हो इस चीज को? 2 हार्ट अटैक आया किसी को, पागल है कोई, अपने ऑफिस छोड़ के बैठा है।
सर फोटो देखो, हॉस्पिटल की है, कहाँ जा रहा हूँ मैं, देख लो।
मेरे फादर अभी आईसीयू में है।
Right. These are the visuals of chaos that happened in the morning as one flight was cancelled, at least a sector's flight was cancelled on 2 consecutive days. Samir, chaos yet again, this time at Delhi's domestic airport. Frustration clearly visible. Was the modus operandi? The aviation minister had spoken of a lot of things, including a protocol in place where passengers need to be informed. Samir, was that protocol followed in this particular case? Do we know? Samir, if you can hear me, the aviation minister few weeks back had promised action. He had said there would be protocols which will be in place to ensure that passengers are not inconvenienced, that they are informed beforehand, that there are no last-minute schedules, that the flights and the airlines are well equipped with whether it be the runway or the pilots. We seem to be having some issue, and as soon as we have Samir, we will get back to him. But I'm being joined right now by Chief Analyst for Bangaloreaviation.com, Devesh Agarwal. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Chaos yet again, this time at the domestic airport in Delhi. Would you know if the protocols were followed, promises that were made by the aviation minister? Was that through this time? Were they alerted?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me. I did speak to some friends in the airline and tried to ascertain what was the situation. And as I understand, the weather at Deoghar, the destination, it went bad very close to the departure time of the flight. So which is why I think the airline could not inform the passengers who had already arrived at the airport today. But I understand that today's flight has got cancelled, and I think tomorrow's flight is also cancelled, and the passengers have been informed, at least for tomorrow's flight. That's what I'm given to understand. I can in some ways, I mean, I have to commiserate with the passengers. One definitely doesn't like to hear this, enough. That after you've reached the airport, things go haywire. But unfortunately, fog is a bit of a notorious weather phenomenon. Unlike a storm, fog is not so easily predictable as to when it will come and when it will go. And in this particular case, Delhi has got a very advanced, ILS system. But unfortunately, Deoghar Airport will have a very basic ILS system, which will require a much longer visibility when compared to that of Delhi. So even a slight.
Sir, if I may ask. Sir, if I may ask.
Sorry, you were saying something.
One often thinks of this. Why is this happening repeatedly with IndiGo? There are other low-cost airlines also that fly. Why is this happening repeatedly? with IndiGo? Is there systemically something wrong, or is it some other reason?
No, you see, it's very simple. Indigo basically occupies more than two-thirds of the Indian market. So 2 out of 3 flights that fly are an Indigo flight. So the chances of something happening to an Indigo flight are much more than any other airline, because purely because of their market size. And earlier I have pointed this out. What happens is, it's a known fact in India that about at least close to 90 to 95% of passengers, they book their tickets through a travel agent. It could be an online travel agent, like, we have these, I don't want to take names, but we know all the various online travel agents, offline travel agents. And the problem is, these travel agents don't share the passenger's phone number with the airline. They like to own the passenger data. They don't want to share that. So when the
Right.
Indigo system even automatically
I
sends
see.
out an SMS saying the flight is delayed or anything like that, 90 to 95% of the passengers don't get that information, purely because their contact information is
Right.
not with the airline. And I would urge the passengers who missed their flight today to just take a printout of their ticket and see what is the contact information that is printed on the ticket for themselves. Is their email there? Is their phone number there? Or is it
No.
that of the travel agents?
Right. No, you're making very valid
You know,
point here, and that is also something that the passengers also would have to look into. But one more thing, sir. Now, for example, tomorrow there's an alert that has been given out for the cancellation. But 30th, 31st, it seemed to have been last minute cancellations. Now, the airlines, to what they have responded, they did say refreshments were offered, alternate sector, a flight to in the alternate sector was offered, as well as a possibility of a refund was offered.
right.
Now, what else could be done if something like this could not be preempted, or is that a failure that it could not be preempted?
Well, as I pointed out, see, the weather go see, for any flight, an airline has to file a a flight plan, and that flight plan basically has to go through multiple hoops, within the air traffic control system itself. I mean, the flight is going all the way from Delhi to Deoghar. It has to get a routing. It's literally like, how a train gets multiple green signals, only then it can proceed. And unfortunately, an aircraft cannot stop in middle of the air. So the entire route has to be cleared in terms of the timing. So what happens is,
Right.
that typically takes place, just about 30 minutes before a flight. The flight plan gets uploaded to an automatic system, and the whole automatic system connects with all the various ATCs along the way, and each of them say, yeah, approved, 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 approved. And only when they get the complete set of approvals does the flight plan get approved. Now, it is altogether possible that when you've started filing a flight plan, you get an updated weather report from Deoghar saying, I'm going to have fog. This is going to be my visibility. Now, the airline and
Right.
the pilot, of course, will come to know, and then the flight planners will come to know that there is no point of operating this flight
Right.
because there's no way I can land. So the question being then is, what do you do? Do you deliberately still fly the flight? Because it's not such a long flight. I mean, Deoghar will be what? Maximum about
Right.
an hour, hour and a half. And if you don't see that thing taking, the situation improving, what do? You tell me. I mean, I'm very sure the passengers who are screaming hi, hi, Indigo, or hi, hi, any other airline will definitely not want their airline to fly in an unsafe condition. Because let's face it, if for God
Right.
and for any reason, the airline operates in what I call
All right.
marginal conditions, and something happens to that flight, I don't think the entire
Okay.
country will forgive the airline for doing that. So, I mean, one has to, in a
All
way,
right.
balance safety and the vagaries of the weather in northern part of India during this season is known. So, all I can urge people is,
Okay.
be a little patient. And if you could fly instead to Patna or fly to Ranchi or somewhere relatively close by and then take a road transport, if things are that urgent, do that. And if you can't, and if you can afford
All
to
right.
postpone your trip by a day or
Okay, sir.
two, please do that. I mean, it is after all the vagaries of the season. No airline deliberately wants to cancel its flights and disrupt. I mean, which airline? Tell me, any business will never like to disrupt its operations and irritate its customers, no matter how dominant that airline or
All
that
right, sir.
business be
No,
in the
deeply
world.
appreciate. Absolutely. Deeply appreciate you for joining us and putting things in perspective, for adding to this. Of course, passengers hugely desperate, harrowed. They may have their own compulsions, but certain things at certain times can get extremely challenging. Thank you for joining us, sir, at this point.